Senator Robert Menendez has been in the middle of a lot of controversy regarding his trip to the Dominican Republic. The Daily Caller wrote an article about him allegedly using or having sex with underage prostitutes. Now, just to give you a little context into this story, in the Dominican Republic, prostitution is legal, but underage prostitution is illegal. So I think it's important to clarify that. However, this story kind of started to evolve after a video came out, and these two prostitutes, or alleged prostitutes, with their faces blurred out, had indicated that they had sex with him for money. There were allegations that they asked for $500 and he only paid $100. Anyway, the entire story was very, very sketchy. The Daily Caller writes about it, and then the Washington Post follows up with the story by basically indicating that one of the women that were featured in the video, who was 23 years old, by the way, said that she had been paid to make those statements and that she didn't even know that she was on camera at the time, which I also find really fascinating. So the story is really sketchy. I think that there are a lot of holes in this story, but CNN wanted to get to the bottom of it by interviewing the Daily Caller editor. And let's go to video number 4. And this is a Daily Caller interview with the alleged prostitute of Menendez, Senator Menendez. Let's take a look.
¿Quién te pagó y cuánto?
Dile que me dijeron que era $500, un amigo mío, un conocido mío. Y después tuvimos problemas porque no me pidieron los $500, me dieron menos.
She was promised 500 and she was paid only 100. No, she said he gave money to another guy who gave her money. ¿Dónde eso pasó?
Casa de campo.
In Casa de Campo, here in La Romana.
So that's the video that, was making its rounds on the internet, and the Daily Caller featured it. Of course they did. And then the Washington Post comes out with the article indicating that she later said that she was paid to make those statements, which was fascinating. Now fast forward to CNN. CNN decides to grill the editor of the Daily Caller because they feel like their source wasn't reliable, and maybe it's a good idea to challenge the Daily Caller for the article that they put out there. Let's take a look.
What's the proof? Because we have to take your word for it, and obviously that's not how we do journalism. So what is the proof of that?
Well, you have to understand that all of this was ginned up by a Washington Post report yesterday.
Well, David, someone could obviously fib about their name, or they could fib about their age. I mean, our understanding...
And they could fib about an affidavit as well.
So our understanding, this is what ABC News is saying, is this was set up by a Republican operative. Is it possible that you were duped? Have you gone back to your source who set this up to verify that these women were not paid?
We're doing that today, and I'd be more than happy to come back on the air and talk to you about it.
You haven't verified it. You haven't verified it at this point.
We verified it when we first conducted the interview.
Which isn't to say that your story is necessarily untrue, but you don't actually know that.
Right. They haven't even verified it. He pretty much, without admitting it, he admitted that they had not verified it before they went to air with that, or to post with that. And what I find surprising is when she asks him if you were duped, I think no, they probably weren't duped. Because this, there's all kinds of allegations now. ABC News had a report that alleged that the interview that the Daily Caller was conducted was set up by a Republican operative. I mean, there's a lot of hinky stuff going on in this story, and I think that it's very clear that they didn't really have anything to go on when they posted this, and they posted it right before the November election when Menendez was up for re-election. So I think it was, obviously it was a hit piece that they didn't bother to vet, or they purposely didn't vet. That's kind of what the Daily Caller does.
Well, I mean, the Daily Caller it obviously leans to the right, and as soon as you hear a story about a Democratic senator getting involved in a prostitution scandal in the Dominican Republic, I mean, it's just too juicy. You want to publish it immediately. So is it, possible that they published that story without securing a reliable source? I think it's absolutely possible.
Oh yeah.
But at this this point,
Definitely.
the story has way too many holes. They published another article where, and it featured like an email by a so-called underage prostitute. But there are no reliable sources for that article either. You know, it's just...
You could write an email claiming to be an underage prostitute and send it, and I'm wondering what their filters are, what their editorial process is to prevent that from going on the air.
So I'm trying to figure out why it is that they think that this is an underage prostitute. And just to be clear on my thoughts, look, there's no evidence indicating that he actually did sleep with prostitutes in the Dominican Republic. However, if he did go to the Dominican Republic and he slept with prostitutes that are legal, that are over the age of 18, and it's totally fine, I have no problem with that. I don't care. It's none of my business. But the Daily Caller published that email, and how did they figure out that it was an underage prostitute? They said, "Oh, hold on." They said, "Oh, the email seemed to be written by someone who was very unsophisticated, making us think that she was underage."
Yeah. Well, going by that logic, anyone who's ever written a comment or a forum post, probably underage. It's pretty unsophisticated. But really, a couple of points I want to make. One, I love the comment that he makes. Like, I'd be more than happy to come back and talk about it later. Which I love the psychology behind that. That you let the story get out there, and we'll apologize if necessary later after all the damage is done, after the apology wouldn't change anything. We're talking months now after the story came out. Who cares if they apologize at this point?
I mean, think about what James O'Keefe did to Acorn. Right? I mean, even though there was evidence indicating that Acorn actually didn't do anything wrong, it didn't matter. The damage was done. Congress took funding away from them, and then now they no longer exist.
And Barack Obama signed that, by the way.
Absolutely.
He signed that bill.
Exactly. So your point about the damage already being done is absolutely right, and I'm really worried about what this means for Menendez in the future, even if it's proven that he did absolutely nothing wrong.
Right, because the damage is done, and I think that's the point of these character assassination articles, essentially. You know, you deny until you absolutely must, as a news outlet of some minor report, come out and actually admit that you did something wrong. I doubt that they'll ever retract the story because they'll find some way to get out of it and say, oh, well, we were misled, we misinterpreted, you know, there was some problem with that. But, you know, when you're trying to do a hit piece on a political opponent, the best strategy is just to keep denying it.